And welcome to another edition of Bunker Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by the team at Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs dedicated to helping the military connected community start their own business. We know that 25% of transitioning service members want to start a business and they need places inside their community they can connect with the people, resources, and support they need. I'm your host for today, Iron Mike Stedman, joined by my amazing colleagues in the bunker, Shelby and Amy. Amy and Shelby, what's going on?
Hey, Mike. I'm really excited to be here. I feel like I'm in the Cool Kids Club now. I'm on live.
Are you excited coming off of Labor Day to jump on here? Fired
Yes.
up? All
Super
right.
excited.
I know everyone is easing back into life after a long Labor Day weekend, especially well deserved after all the busyness of the work life balance in the pandemic. We got an exciting episode for you all today because we're going to be talking about the Veterans in Residence program. As many of you know, that's one of our flagship programs at the bunker, and we have a Q&A set up to talk about it. But before we do that, Amy is going to give us go around the horn and talk about some of the events that are happening in the bunker over the next few weeks.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah. No events this week, probably due to holiday. But next week, next Tuesday is the day y'all want to get on these events. So next Tuesday, we've got a special edition of Office Hours that I want to shout out. We're going to be talking about managing stress with Schmidt Etienne from Reset Studios. So that's a good one that I want y'all to come for because stuff be popping off and y'all need to manage that stress. And then also on Tuesday, next Tuesday, Bunker Connect Knoxville in Knoxville, Tennessee. That one's at 5:30 p.m. And then we've got Bunker Connect in Tampa, 6 p.m. Eastern. Those are both next Tuesday, September 14th. So RSVP at chapters.bunkerlabs.org for those.
Perfect. All right. Now, what we're going to do is I have the privilege of introducing Miss Shelby Nelson, the Director of Entrepreneur Experience here at the bunker. And her and I are going to do a deep dive on the Veterans in Residence program. So, again, Shelby, honored to have you here today. And let's just jump off and describe to the audience what the Veterans in Residence program is and what we're hoping to accomplish with it at the bunker.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, super excited to be here, especially since Veterans in Residence applications are open as of last week, September 1st. So we wanted to just take some time to make sure that everyone who's like, what is this thing? What am I hearing about Veterans in Residence? What is it really for? Is it for me? Is it for my friends? So excited to dive into that. In a nutshell, the Veterans in Residence program is a program that we have had at Bunker Labs for a while now. We're going into, I think it's like our 6th cohort, and it is a 6-month incubator for military connected entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their business, essentially. So you know what you're working on, you have that idea, you're getting some traction, but you really are looking to start honing in on that product market fit and start getting some paying customers, really. So we are here to kind of provide that community, that national resource for you, and of course the network of fellow entrepreneurs who are kind of there in the trenches with you.
So there's a lot of other programs out there we hear, the Y Combinators of the world and the Techstars and all these other seed accelerators, where they invest money. How are we different here with the Veterans in Residence?
Yeah, that is a great question. Especially, it's so overwhelming, right? Like you have your business and there's so many resources out there. You're just trying to find the right fit. So really what the Veterans in Residence program is in terms of what's different is we are not going to promise you like you are for sure going to get this amount of funding by the end of it. We're not going to promise you, you're going to have this. What we are going to promise you is that we will give you that network and that community to get anything that you need for your business, understanding that everyone is in kind of a different industry or maybe working with different customers. Your needs are going to be different from that person sitting next to you in that cohort, right? So what we want to do is we'll work with you to kind of help you. We have local facilitators who are there on the ground with you. And then, of course, your fellow cohort members to work on a weekly basis with each other to figure out, okay, what is it that you need to grow? And how can the Bunker Labs network help you satisfy that need and get you to the next level.
As somebody that's gone through the program and had a chance to witness his growth pretty much from inception, one of the things that I think is different about what we do too is a lot of those other programs are specifically geared towards like the tech startup community, whereas veterans and residents, we have a mix between like startups as well as small businesses. And the thing that I've noticed is that for a lot of the founders, this is their first time going through any type of program. So for a lot of people, this will be like a launch pad to others.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that you say that, Mike, especially because something that we know so intimately at Bunker Labs is that entrepreneurship is very lonely. I mean, a lot of the times you're operating alone in your office, like just trying to, pretend like things are going great when really there's ebbs and flows of being a business owner and a small business owner. And what I love to see in the huddles, which is our weekly interaction that you have locally, is the variety of people in the room, so to speak. You're sitting next to maybe someone that's working on a really awesome product, or as a kind of construction manager, or kind of all across the board. And I love that is the diversity in the room in terms of industry and the people and their experience. We have a wide variety of ages of people that have served, and it's it's something that I think brings a lot of value and sets us apart. And it's also, I think, a great example of that network being expanded. It's like you never know. I think some of the best connections come from that, person who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone, right? And that network is just times 1,000 here in the Bunker Labs community, especially locally. And there's also so many opportunities to connect nationally. I mean, one of the silver linings of COVID and the Veterans and Residents program is we took a step back and we said, we really have an opportunity to connect everyone nationally more than ever. And that's not going anywhere. We're going to continue to do that. So a lot of opportunities to connect with each other. Great place to be in a room with people who kind of have been there and done that and get you. One of the great things about having a military connected community here at Bunker Labs.
Joanne Watkins wants to know how many applicants will be permitted into the program.
Yeah, great question, Joanne. So 8 people are admitted into the final cohort. So we go through a series of kind of vetting in terms of making sure there's the right fit. There's a blind review of all applicants. We get that to about 20 into each city. And then those 20 people will move on to a virtual interview. And then from that virtual interview with the local facilitators, us as staff, we determine those 8 people who would be the best fit for the final cohort. That is not to say that we will not suggest other programs for you. So Bunker Labs has a variety of programs for a variety of businesses at other stages. So usually if it is not the right fit, it's because we know of something that you would be a better fit for. We're very big believers in making sure that the people that are in the room are in the right space. I will mention that the only caveat to that is our virtual cohort. So we do have, as again, a silver lining of COVID, we were like, hey, we can open this up to anybody anywhere, right? So if you're not in a community for Bunker Labs that has a physical WeWork space, you can 100% still apply and still participate and still get as much value out of it. What that will look like is you would be placed into that virtual bucket. So we kind of decide how many virtual cohorts we have based on interest for that cohort. And you will then be placed in a virtual cohort based on size, and you're with people from all across the country. You will still have access to all the WeWorks just as like a hot desk member. So again, I do want to just make a special shout out to WeWork as well. They are an absolutely invaluable partner to this program. One of our biggest value adds is the ability to have a physical space to go and work exclusively on your business with each other. Obviously, this is kind of in accordance with how you're comfortable and local guidelines as well, but it's been fun to see that kind of come back in some ways, and the virtual cohort will still get that benefit with the WeWork access just in a hot desk membership.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about, Shelby, is setting people up for success as they start to apply for this kind of program. And let's start out by, obviously, we've been doing this for many years now, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to serve everyone, right? Some companies have applied, have gotten denied, right? what are the things that set someone up for success to actually apply and get approved to participate versus not make it?
Yeah. So, one of the best things that I can recommend is, first of all, completing Launch Lab online. So, as I've mentioned a few times, these stages, right, in business, and they're stages for sure. It's, you have an idea, you think it's great, right? As we all do with our first ideas. And then you start to test it and see if there's actually a need for it in the market. And you maybe find out it's not the best idea, which happens to all of us. So that's going to be the early. So this is like, I'm describing this stage as like very early idea stage. And, you don't quite have traction yet. You're still figuring out what it would be. That's going to be too early for veterans and residents. What we're looking for veteran residents is really, you have worked with a few customers probably. Maybe you have some revenue, not required that you have revenue. The goal is that you will by the end of the program, of course. But it's really, think of it as, you're in the room and you are in your business and you're trying to work through your problems in terms of how you're interacting with potential customers or existing customers or clients. And it's tough. I think there's been so many people that have applied to the program a couple times. And actually, I just remember a woman who's in the program now, and she was like, I've applied like 3 times and I'm so excited because I finally am in the right stage, and it just takes a little bit. And like I said, it's not to say that we're not going to be here for you if you're not a right fit for veterans and residents right now, which is an important phrase, because you will eventually, once you get that idea. If entrepreneurship is in your blood, again, a great shout out to Gina Wickman's course in Bunker Online, which is LEAP, trying to make sure that entrepreneurship is even right for you, that's a huge part of it. It's just like, is this a lifestyle that I want for myself, for my family, for, anyone that you care for? And so it's really making sure that you've kind of passed all those checkpoints and you're in it and you are ready to grow. And I know, Mike, you've been in the program. So if you have anything to add on that stage, you're such a great example of like coming in, you're like, all right, I have it. And now I got to hone in on it and I gotta grow it.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point about, is entrepreneurship right for you? And I think that's really like the underlying thing with the veterans and residents program, is like this being a launch off point to figure out like, hey, are you committed to this kind of lifestyle? Do you have what it takes, where you have this workspace, you have this cohort, and are you ready to lean into it? When I was a veterans and residents, right, I was still working my full-time job. I was running a residence hall at a private school in downtown Newark for young men of color. After going through that experience, I got the confidence to step out on my own and work on my venture full time. Now it was still a hustle, but I'm still standing. But yeah, it was like a great step off point. And so for our listeners, one thing I will say, because a lot of these programs, it all really comes down to confidence, right? How confident are people are in your venture, and how confident are they in your ability to take advantage of the resources that you're going to get offered. So one of the things that Shelby talked about is like having a clearly defined business model. So even if you're not generating revenue, do you have a path that's going to get you towards revenue? And is it clearly defined? Do you have a list of the target segment that you're going after? And is it reasonable for you to be able to do so? So that's one thing. I think the other thing too is, how committed are you to being able to take advantage of the resources, right? So if you do have a full-time job, right, how are you going to be able to leverage the workspace? How are you going to be able to show up to the huddles? How are you going to be able to add value to the community, so that you don't just go through the program and then you're not using it, you're not participating, etc. But what I will say, like one of the things I see with a lot of people is y'all just don't have really clearly defined business models. It's still really just this like idea, but you haven't articulated it yet in a strategic business way. And so, we have resources out there to guide you through this process. The Transition Podcast is one, got the newsletter, we've got blog posts up, right? So there's a path to strengthening your application. You just want to make sure that you're taking the right steps and conveying the kind of confidence that you need, because once you kind of go through this process and you have all this information to apply to the veterans and residents, I believe that you're gonna it's gonna white label it for other programs. Now you might have to massage the applications, but it's generally the same type of things. What problem are you solving? What's your solution? What's your go to market? All of that kind of basic information.
Yeah, Mike, and I love that you bring that up, because one of the things that and you'll hear this a lot at Bunker Labs, is you get out of it what you put into it. And I think that's something that we see in the program, but it's the same for life. It's the same for your business. And, as Mike brought up, he was working full time when he joined the Veterans and Residents program, which is a great thing to note. Like, you can be working a full-time job, you can be a full-time parent, caregiver, and still make this work, right? If you have that dedication and you have that drive to really make it something that's successful and to really grow, then I see people participate in the program who are doing amazing things. We had a couple program members this cohort, they just had new babies, it's just like life happens. And it will always happen. There's always going to be an excuse to not do the thing, right? But what we're going to do in Veterans and Residents is help you commit. One of the greatest value adds I hear every day from the program participants is that accountability partner, that person that's there to make sure you're showing up, that you're attending those weekly huddles, that you're attending those master classes. One of the things that we present in the program are monthly master classes, which are really geared in kind of to those points that Mike brought up around how are you reaching those people that you have targeted as your target market? How are you helping tell your story? How are you, honing in on that brand one-liner, like all those really good nitty-gritty things that, you can Google them if you want, but here we are together in this virtual setting, or this virtual Zoom, or, whatever the place is, in your WeWork office, and you're there checking each other. One of the things that we also have in the huddles is you end every huddle with a commitment to action. And it's what you're going to say you do. And then next week, the group is going to come and say, did you make it? Did you miss it? And why? And it's just that simple thing that I see have such a great impact on these business owners, to have those people holding you accountable. It's the same with working out. I mean, if I didn't have to be there physically to work out, to, meet my neighbor or something, then I wouldn't do it. So it's a great practice for life, but also in business. And it's really, I think, just to summarize, is you got to be ready to show up. And that will make you a great fit for this program and all the other programs that you participate in.
So what happens after the 6 months is completed? What does that look like for the entrepreneurs in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so the network will always be here. So once you're in, I think Veterans and Residents is a great, intro step into the Bunker Labs community. You have those people there locally that you can kind of reach out to. I see lasting mentorships and friendships, everything, under the sun from the cohort. So a lot of people continue to interact, to have those cadence meetups, maybe not every week, obviously. So that's one huge thing, is you have that network around you and the people. Once the 6 months is over, you won't have access to the WeWork itself, but you will continue to have access to, as Amy mentioned, a lot of the local events that happen. We're going to continue to have events at the WeWork to celebrate future cohorts. You're an alumni, you're in Bunker Labs. It's hard to break away from it. We're working on kind of an alumni engagement plan, like how to continue to stay tapped in with each other as fellow cohort members from your cohort, but also past cohorts. And then eventually, as you kind of continue to grow and scale, we have CEO Circle, which is the program that is really dedicated to those larger businesses that, they're looking to either figure out what that next step in succession planning, or how to grow franchises. That's definitely going to be there for you down the road when you have a much larger, revenue coming in and are there. So Bunker Labs will be there for you at that stage as well. But Bunker Online is a huge place as well to stay connected with each other. And yeah, it's the network. The network is here.
While we wrap up, I want to encourage those of you that are tuning in, if you have any questions, make sure you take a moment to put them in the chat for us so we can answer these for you here and now. And I want to say this, right? Again, the power of community is drastically underestimated, right? I live in Newark, New Jersey. And one of the things I've noticed about a lot of the entrepreneurs here locally is that some of them tend to lack access to social capital. And what do I mean by social capital? People that can support you from a financial perspective, from a mentorship perspective, capital that you can leverage well beyond the limits of Newark. For a lot of veteran entrepreneurs that are out there in the wild, right? A lot of y'all transitioned out. You may or may not have a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem. So you don't have any social capital in the ecosystem yet. Once you step into the veterans and residents, you're going to have all these other entrepreneurs out there. You're going to have an entire ecosystem that's going to have overwatch on you. What do I mean? When there are grant opportunities, when there are funding opportunities, when there are clients, right? You want your name to ring. And how are you going to do that? You're going to do it by connecting and being around other veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. And you're going to create this kind of network effect and increase your opportunity for serendipitous moments where, I'm meeting someone and someone's like, yeah, man, I really like cheese dip. And I'm like, cheese dip, we got this veterans in residence. I forgot his name, but you should check out his website. That kind of
Arvo cheese.
Arvo cheese, right? How does that happen? That's just a very serendipitous moment. That's some social capital, right? And how do I know that? Because I'm plugged into the ecosystem. I see all the entrepreneurs that are coming through. So these are the kind of opportunities that we want to create for you all within the ecosystem. And so just want to really encourage you all to take advantage of this opportunity, apply. You won't regret it. Again, I started with a nonprofit, right? When I joined Veterans and Residents, I had less than $3,000 in the bank account. I had like $300. One of my cohort members, Evan Wang, created a website for me in the cohort, helped me update my website. 300 went to $3,000. Then I was able to raise $14,000, and then eventually over $100,000, right? And it's a step-by-step process. But I will tell you that having that first website going, with a giant button that said donate, right? That was a game changer for me. And I was able to do that leveraging the social capital of Evan, who was in my cohort, just because, that's what he did. He built websites. So little stuff like that, we want to encourage you all to take advantage of.
Yeah. It's a great story, and it happens every day. One of my favorite things every day is checking into the Slack channel to see the interactions between, like, hey, there's this pitch opportunity, or hey, there's grant opportunity. Hey, can you guys look at my website? Is it weird? It's just like the authenticity, and that's one of the things too that I think sets us apart. Is like, you got to show up and you got to be authentic about what's holding you back. We're not going to be here to be like, hey, everything is going great, because at the end of the day, you're not going to move forward if everything's going great all the time, right? Yeah. So, it's so fun, and there's just great people here. I think I have a great job being able to see everyone come and grow. And I want to shout out Clarice. I've seen she's been dropping some comments to this, and current member. Just a great example of the awesome people we have.
Love it. And now what I want to do is I want to transition and give a plug for our book recommendation for the week. All right. Everybody see this? Let me turn it. The Visual MBA by Jason Barron. 2 years of business school packed into one priceless book of pure awesomeness. I'm a grunt, y'all. I eat crayons and I can barely read and write. So I need cartoons to explain stuff to me, right? And I will tell you, for the longest time, I felt like an imposter because I didn't have a MBA, but I realized that, like, I'm a self-taught learner. I'm an autodidact. And so I'm always reading. I'm always learning. That's why we do these book recommendations. I freaking love this book. This is one of my most favorite business books ever because it's just very simple and it just breaks down ideas. Basically, this guy went through business school for 2 years at BYU. He uses visual learning to convey thoughts. And so he writes sketches down for everything from entrepreneurial finance to developing a go-to-market strategy to operations and management, all this awesomeness that he describes. And so really want to encourage you all to check this out. If you're feeling insecure about your business knowledge, or maybe you just want a refresher, check out The Visual MBA by Jason Barron. I'm a big fan. So much so I'm going to reach out to him, see if I can get him on a podcast.
Yes. Love it, Mike. Shout out. Applications for VIR are open until the end of the month. So get those in. I know the link was dropped in the chat here. And it's going to be good. 22A coming in.
Perfect. Shelby, if people have any more questions about veterans and residents, where can they go?
So we can go, I know that link, so bunkerlabs.org/veterans and residents. That's going to be your go-to spot. And I believe there's probably an email on there somewhere in terms of, there's an FAQ page as well. That a ton of really great information there. And then a better breakdown on those locations that have the WeWork access to.
Awesome. Well, Shelby, thanks for joining us today, and I appreciate you spending this time answering questions and promoting the veterans and residents. For all those that are tuning in today, I want to go ahead and encourage you to do me a favor and make sure you subscribe to the Transition Podcast and newsletter on Substack at the link. We'll include the link in the chat. I release a newsletter every Tuesday. I'm wrapping up one to go out today now, and a podcast every Thursday. And one of the things I like about the platform I'm using, Substack, is that you can leave a comment about each episode. And if you have questions on your own venture, you can post that as well. And I'll provide some feedback. I'm always looking for content, and I would love to learn more about some of the stuff that you guys are struggling with in your own ventures and how we can provide value either on the podcast, in the newsletter, or here on Bunker Office Hours. I'd like to acknowledge our virtual event sponsors for today, the MetLife Foundation and the Gannett Foundation. The MetLife Foundation is committed to supporting veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. In addition, the foundation also provides mentorship and financial health resources to veterans and military spouses transitioning into the workforce. A Community Thrives is a program funded by the Gannett Foundation and is part of the USA Today network, which invests in community building initiatives across the country with the goal of creating a positive change through service to historically marginalized or under-resourced groups. If you want to get plugged into the Bunker Labs community, make sure you visit bunkerlabs.org. From there, get connected at Bunker Online, where you can learn about our many different programs designed to support your entrepreneurial journey. We have programs that will take you from idea to invoice, incubate you, and position you to grow alongside other founders and CEOs. Just click connect at bunkerlabs.org. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. And until next time, peace, love, and have a great rest of your week.